Welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm Mike Van Hoozer. Today, I wanted to continue the conversation around the lead learner role that we talk about in our Invisible Hand of Leadership course, and also that we talked about on our Monday Morning Moments audio podcast. And I'll put a link to the description in that. But in that audio podcast, we talked about three characteristics of what a lead learner is. And that's one of the key roles of the 7 roles of transformational leaders based on our research and working with high performers and high potentials in sports, business, and life. And the 3 characteristics we talked about were being vulnerable, being curious, and having a growth mindset. So for today's Coach's Corner, I want to build on the growth mindset and talk about 3 areas where you can grow. And those 3 areas are personal growth, professional development, and leadership development. So let's get right into the content and talk about those 3 areas and expound on some ways that you can grow in each of those areas. The first one begins with personal growth, and I think it begins with you and how you're growing personally. I love the story that John Maxwell tells about meeting with his mentor early on in his career. And his mentor asked him a key question, and it was a probing question. He said, "John, what's your plan for personal growth?" And John started to talk about all the goals he had for that year, the plans he had, the accomplishments that he wanted to achieve in his life. And his mentor stopped him and said, "John, those are goals. I asked you about what your plan for personal growth was." And as he thought about it, he realized he didn't have a plan for personal growth. And we've got to have a plan for personal growth. It's something that complements and helps us to achieve the goals that we've set out to achieve, but more so to become the person that we were intended to be. And so my key question for you is, do you have a plan for personal growth? For me, that begins with faith and really identifying and connecting to what my purpose is and what my calling is. And I think that's where it begins for all of us, is to think about, why are we here? And why are we here on this earth? Why are we here in this community, in this place of work, in this family, with the connections that we have, the platform that we have? Why are we here, and what are we called to do? And when I connect that to my faith, it's really important that I think about, how can I grow in that area personally to really tune in to what my purpose is and to be able to accomplish that, to become the person I was meant to become. And so one of the ways I'm doing that this year is reading the Bible cover to cover. And I'm using a great plan by Tara-Leigh Cobble called the Bible Recap. And we'll put a link to the description for that if you're interested. But I think it's a great way to not only read the Bible chronologically, but also to have a podcast from Tara-Leigh that explains some of the things that you've just read. And there's accountability built in, and it's very easy to do if you use apps like the YouVersion Bible app, which has it built into that, and then her complimentary podcast as well. That's a great method that I'm using to have personal growth and to basically center what my faith and who I am and my identity is. I also do prayer and quiet times on a daily basis, and look for ways that I can also grow in other areas. One of the things I've challenged myself this year to do is to read 24 books in a year. And I'm doing that through a combination of audiobooks and also hardcover books, and then also books on Kindle. So no matter the number, and 24 may seem like a lot, but even if you just read 5 books this year, but you applied some of the concepts and some of the things that are in there, it's so easy to be able to get content through different ways, whether it be physical form or digital form, to grow personally. And a lot of these books are tied towards topics that I'm interested in. Some of them we'll get into the next way that we can grow as well. But regarding personal growth, for me, it begins with that. And I also look for mentors. That's a third way that I can grow personally, is to look for mentors who have gone before me and have the same roles as I do. Maybe they're in the same stage of life as a father and husband, or maybe they're a little bit ahead of me and I want to learn from them, and I want to have coffee or breakfast with them and be intentional about asking questions and learning and gaining wisdom from them. But the key is we have to be focused on personal growth and have a plan for that. And then I think what you'll find is you have a plan for personal growth that will complement the goals that you want to achieve, and more so help you become the person that you were intended to be. The second area is professional growth. So in having a growth mindset and being kind of that lead learner as a leader and playing out that role, it's having a plan for professional development. And this is really technical around whatever you're trying to do. If you're an athlete, then it's, hiring a trainer and hiring somebody who's technically skilled at being able to teach you how you become a better athlete in your particular sport. If you're a business leader, then you're hiring a coach or a business coach or a mentor or somebody that's there that you want to learn from if you're trying to aspire to a certain position. But it's all about that professional development and meeting one-on-one with people so you can develop in your particular profession. It may be going to conferences or, again, reading books in your specific discipline about how you can grow. One of the ways I do that is, in addition to the business consulting work I do, I work a lot with athletes and specifically on the sports psychology and sports performance angle. And we've developed our own curriculum and have our own insight and research that we do. But I love learning from other people who are in this same field professionally. So people like John Gordon or Amber Selking, I've been reading some of their books and really learning from their experiences and what they're doing and how it relates to some of the things that I'm doing, and then how it also complements and helps me to grow professionally in a topic that I feel very knowledgeable about, but I want to have a growth mindset and continue to learn from other people. So finding people in your field or in your discipline so you can learn from them is really important in how you can continue to have a growth mindset and learn. And then the third area is around leadership development. So we've got personal growth, we've got professional development, and then leadership development. And that's where you really start to think about the platform you have and how you can develop as a leader to develop other leaders. And so it doesn't just stop with yourself. It allows you to expand and make an impact in the organization that you're in, whether that be a family unit, the community that you're in, maybe the church you're in, the business that you're a part of and that you lead, the teams that you're coaching and leading. How can you continue to grow leaders and to focus on growing in the areas of leadership development? Maybe it's understanding how to communicate better with your team, or understanding what motivates them and then being able to use different techniques and methods to help them. And I think for me, one of the things I've really been thinking about is legacy, and how do I pass on a legacy to other people and then allow them to take that even further and faster than I could by myself, or even the ideas that I had based on their skills and their gifts and talents as well. And so I want to help other people, and that's always been, I think, innate in me. But as a leader, I think we're called to do that. And so whether you're personally wired like that or not, as a leader and a person of influence, I think it's important to think about how can you pass on some of the lessons that you've learned? How can you grow as a leader to be more empathetic and coach other people? And how can you develop those leadership opportunities for yourself to grow other leaders? And so thinking about leadership development is important. And even if you're in a title of leadership and feel like you are a leader, I think it's always important to read, to take courses, to consume content, and to learn from other people, because I think we can always grow in those areas. So 3 areas that you can focus on to have a growth mindset and expand in this area of a lead learner. And I think it's really important that we give attention to all of those areas. So personal growth, professional development, and leadership development. So think about those areas and think about some specific ways that you can grow in each of those this year. And as always, make the most of the moments in your life.